On May 20th, 1217, England's fate balanced on a knife's edge. A French army was closing in, the young king's rule was collapsing, and Lincoln Castle stood as one of the last lines of defense. At 70 years old, an age when most men of the Middle Ages were either dead or telling exaggerated hunting stories, William Marshal, known across Europe as the greatest knight, made a decision that would change history. Today, we're diving into how one old warrior turned the tide of a war in a single, unforgettable day. It's 1217, and England is a political dumpster fire. King John is dead, whether from illness, bad shellfish, or karma, no one's entirely sure. And his heir, Henry III, is 9 years old. 9 years old. That's barely old enough to hold a sword, let alone a kingdom. Half the nobility have defected to Prince Louis of France, who has already set himself up in London and is eyeing the English crown like it's on sale. Lincoln Castle, one of the last loyal strongholds in the East, but now it's under siege. Lose Lincoln, and the rebels will control the road north, choking the kingdom into submission. William Marshal, acting as regent for the young king, knows exactly what this means. If Lincoln falls, so does England. But when other men see a fortress surrounded by enemy troops, William Marshal sees a really good excuse for a fight. Outside the castle walls, Louis's army is massive. Over 600 knights, thousands of infantry, and enough siege equipment to redecorate Lincoln one boulder at a time. Inside the walls, a skeleton crew of defenders clinging on, low on supplies and morale. Every day the siege engines slam the walls, the tension ratchets higher. One breach and it's all over. Marshal knows he doesn't have the luxury of time. If he waits, Lincoln will crumble. If he loses, the crown goes with it. It's not just a battle. It's the knife's edge between an independent England and becoming just another French province. So Marshal decides, if they're going to remember him for something, it might as well be for breaking the rules. Attacking head-on? Suicide. So Marshal does what all great commanders do. He changes the game entirely. Using a route along the river with him, he slips his force of 400 knights and 250 crossbowmen into the castle, under the noses of the besieging army. It's like sneaking a fully armed hornet's nest into the enemy camp, without them realizing it's about to explode. Once inside, Marshal doesn't pause to congratulate himself. He knows surprise is their only weapon, and the longer they wait, the more the enemy will catch on. It's all or nothing. And with the enemy blissfully unaware, the 70-year-old regent is about to kick off one of the most intense street fights in medieval history. Forget jousting in open fields. This is knights thundering through narrow streets, hooves hammering cobblestones, swords flashing in cramped alleys. Marshal leads the charge himself, his warhorse smashing through enemy lines while crossbowmen from the castle rain bolts down on the French positions. Every turn of the street is chaos, armored men grappling at arm's length, shields splintering, war cries echoing off the stone walls, and there's Marshal in the middle of it all, swinging, shouting, rallying his men like the battle-hardened champion he's always been. For an old man, he fights like time itself has decided to give him one last, glorious day in the sun. And just when the French think they might hold the line, the real trouble begins. Marshal's assault is relentless. Enemy formations collapse, banners fall, and panic starts to ripple through the French ranks. Chroniclers say Marshal personally cut down several knights that day, not from the safety of the rear, but right in the crush of combat. Once the French realize they're losing control of the city, survival overtakes strategy. The retreat begins and turns into a full-blown rout. Lincoln isn't just saved, it's liberated in spectacular, devastating fashion. And for Marshal's men, victory comes with, let's just say, some added perks. The aftermath of the battle is remembered, somewhat sarcastically, as Lincoln Fair. Why? because after the fighting stopped, the victors went on what can only be described as a medieval shopping spree, helping themselves to armor, weapons, valuables, and anything else not nailed down. But the real treasure was strategic. Lincoln's relief shattered Prince Louis's campaign. Within months, the Treaty of Lambeth was signed. Louis packed up, went home, and Henry III kept his crown. Marshal, meanwhile, continued as regent for 2 more years until his death in 1219, leaving behind a reputation not just as a skilled knight, but as the man who saved a kingdom when everyone else had written it off. So the next time someone tells you 70 is too old to make a difference, remember William Marshal, the man who turned a siege into a rout, saved his king, and walked away like it was just another day on the job. Pshai.